Hello everyone. The topic we are analyzing today might look like a simple trade dispute on the surface, but underneath it lies the terrifying dynamics of international politics, the U.S. USTR Section 301 investigation. Before we dive into today's lecture, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share this video. Your support immensely helps in creating deeper and sharper national security content. 1. Withdrawal of the petitions. A signal of escalation, not retreat. Recently, U.S. investment firms withdrew their individual Section 301 petitions which they had filed in protest against the South Korean government's regulations. Many people misunderstand this, thinking U.S. companies have backed down or Korea's defense was successful. However, from a foreign policy expert's perspective, this is completely wrong. This is not a retreat. This is a signal of escalation, meaning the U.S. government. USTR has taken the sword directly into its own hands. It signifies that the U.S. intends to elevate this beyond a grievance of individual companies, targeting South Korea's broader regulatory systems and policies as a national-level trade issue. 2. The cold reality of international politics. The cost of ignoring weight classes. Here, we must learn a painful diplomatic lesson about what happens when a small country provokes the core interest of a large country, especially a global hegemon without a meticulous strategy. Unfortunately, the international community is a jungle, ruled by the logic of power. When a smaller or middle power nation pushes its own logic to unilaterally regulate or defy the corporations of a hegemon, the hegemon does not respond with localized corporate lawsuits. Instead, it mobilizes its systemic state, weapons like economic sanctions under quote-unquote Super 301, to crush the opponent's entire system. Emotional pushback or hasty regulations will ultimately return, not as a localized penalty, but as a boomerang of widespread retaliatory measures against the entire national economy. Coldly acknowledging this asymmetry of power and securing national interests through sophisticated, flexible, diplomatic negotiation is the only survival strategy for nations caught between great powers. 3. Super 301. The president's absolute power without congressional approval. What makes Section 301 so formidable is its procedural speed and the immense power it grants the executive branch. To trigger this measure, the U.S. president does not need to seek permission from Congress. Through the Trade Act of 1974, Congress has already delegated the authority to enact retaliatory measures to the president. Congress only plays a post-action oversight role, such as controlling the budget or holding hearings. 4. The time until retaliation. The 2017 China example. All right, let's move on to our fourth point. You might be wondering, exactly how long does it take from the moment the USTR starts a self-initiated investigation to the moment those retaliatory tariffs actually hit our economy? Typically because they still have to go through legal procedures like evidence gathering, public hearings, and negotiations. It takes about 6 months to a year. But instead of looking at a complex chart, let's just walk through the timeline together, using the most famous textbook example, the 2017 U.S. sanctions against China. Think about how fast this escalated. It all started in August of 2017. That was when the USTR officially launched its Section 301 investigation into China's intellectual property theft and forced technology transfer practices. Now, fast forward just 7 months to March of 2018. Boom. The USTR released its final report confirming China's unfair trade practices, and the U.S. president immediately signed executive orders announcing massive, unprecedented tariffs. And then just a few months later, from July 2018 onwards, those sweeping high tariffs were actively enforced on Chinese goods, officially kicking off the historic U.S.-China trade war. So what is the crucial takeaway for us here? When the USTR decides to initiate an investigation on its first own, bypassing the initial time it takes to review private petitions, the clock ticks much faster. If the U.S. government pushes forward with strong national intent, as they did with China, fatal economic blows could be dealt to our economy in a matter of mere months. This isn't a distant theoretical threat. It is an immediate ticking time bomb. Everyone, foreign policy and national security are not realms of emotion, but of cold reality and capability. Through this incident, we must objectively realize how catastrophic national losses can be when we rush into confrontations, armed only with self-righteous justifications. If you found today's lecture insightful, please subscribe, like, and share it widely with others. I will see you next time with more sharp international political analysis. Thank you.